All right, welcome to Culture Couch Live. So, g'day, Carly. G'day, Woz. I'll ask
Rosie.
You two first. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Thanks. Hey, good. Rather than address a question today, crew, we're going to introduce our newest team member, James McMillan. How are you, James?
Very well, thank you, Rosie. Delighted to be here.
Culture Couch Live, and you'll be a regular addition to this. Hey, question without notice. We're going to do a little bit different today, so put you in the hot seat. Now, I know how you got here because I was part of the headhunting, but why performance by design? I haven't actually asked you that question. So why were you interested in joining a company like yourselves?
Well, that's a fantastic question. And in my background, I've got a lot of corporate roles and chartered accounting and banking and, large organisations that have their own culture, but within those cultures and where high performance was required, I found that if I got a facilitator or some help to really work on my team culture, my leadership, and making sure I had the right mix of people, understood those people, really got to know those people, respected their life outside of their careers, etc., then you can go on a much better journey with them. And that included things like, getting back to agreeing purpose. What is the purpose of the team that we had or the teams that we created? What values are we going to uphold? And how will we know those values are being upheld? What behaviours should people be able to see? And it just sort of fed off of that. So I really got great outcomes for myself and for the team. So it's not about me, but it was about the performance just naturally flowed because you had this dialogue and a sense of belonging and a sense of knowing almost subconsciously what would benefit the team and benefit the outcomes the team was looking for. Mm. And you're able to have some fun on the way through because you really started to develop that trust and respect and a sense of camaraderie. So from finishing up in a big corporate role sort of in 2016, I'll admit I've done some consulting and bits and pieces on the way through corporate finance and a range of things, and I've had a lot of fun. But when I started talking to Performance by Design, it really made that perfect sense to me that I really believe in this. I believe in the objectives of the business. I've gotten to know all of you people very quickly, very well, and it just was a no-brainer for me to come on board and to help deliver on the business model, but also, just the values, the CARE acronym. That really resonated with me, and I've seen it already, and this is only my fourth day, so I've really seen the collaboration, the accountability, the real talk, and the energy. I think that energy, it's a car without the E, isn't it? But the energy is fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to it, Rosie.
Yeah, that's awesome, James. I love it. So my question to you is, we haven't yet established a nickname for you. So what nicknames do you go by that we can start to put in the vernacular? Is it a bit of a JMac, or where do we go there?
Well, look, there's JMac, but I've always just been Macca. And okay. I've already had Jez try and call another JMac at a football club who's related to me, Jamie McMillan at North, and thought he was talking to Jamie and realised he was talking to me. So I'll stick with Macca. I've actually had a coach in the last couple of years, or 2 or 3 years, who is a Canadian, but he calls me Big Macca, and I'm not really a big fan of that. But Macca's the baseline.
Yeah, nice. All right. So I guess thinking about bringing new people into the business, onboarding is really important. And I might have mentioned this last week, but I'm reading Kevin Oakes' book around culture renovation at the moment, and he talks a lot about onboarding. So I guess my question to you, as you coming on board makes us think about our onboarding experience, but also other onboarding experiences that you've had. What is important, do you think, to leaders around onboarding, and what are some tips that you think we can share with some of our clients around that part of the business process?
Well, I will answer the question, but I'll start by observing what I saw within PBD's onboarding process. So we've obviously had COVID, and we've got different geographies involved. So using Zoom, we still managed to have a lot of good conversations and a real sense of getting to know. There was no getting to know me and me getting to know you. There was no real hard sell. It was just really organic in the way that evolved. And I, first of all, really appreciated that, because it's as much about your level of comfort in me as it is about mine with you guys. So that's the first thing. And then in the lead into it and the process of, contracts and this and that, it's just been, it's been fantastic. It's again, and yourself doing the things you said you were going to do on the timetables that you said you would, and being capable of having two-way conversations on the way through. I've really appreciated that. And then the start, leading into the start, has been terrific. So not all organisations on board like that. The larger they are, that I've found, they tend to be quite regimented and a little less personal. And I've had situations where you rolled into a room with 40 other new starters, and there's a sort of a deep dive or a sheep dip into I'll tell you what their culture is. You won't actually get to see it. You just get told what it should look like. So look, onboarding is a key aspect of anyone's career or evolution in an organisation, and it's about getting to know people, and it's about getting to know what the leadership is expecting of its people and of itself. That it's transparent. There's a realness about it. That people can observe things that reflect the values. That they're not just stuck on a wall, and that there's a sense of a point person, if you like. So, Carly, you're my point person. I know that, and there are questions I know that need to go to Woz, but I've been at pains to sort of make sure they go to you, so you can see what I'm thinking about. That's really important. Schools do it with buddy programs. It makes perfect sense to do a similar thing on the way through the first probation periods and on into the culture. That's what I observe about onboarding. I mean, there's a process, obviously, for performance, KPI setting and reviews and real talk, and ultimately the end. But the onboarding piece just sets everyone up, should make it very clear as to what's expected.
So I might hand over to Woz to ask a question, which is a bit different because I'm normally hosting. Woz, are you ready to go? Because I'll ask a question. You look a little bit nervous. You're a bit more of a sort of backseat sort of guy. So can you take the reins or not? How do you feel?
Mate, no, I just wanted to watch today. So I know that my role here is to spruce up the culture couch. Like that big swoop haircut. That don't they have hairdressers in the US, Ruzy, to clean yourself up?
There's not much you can do with the cowlick, Woz. When you get what you can do with it.
It's pretty hard when it's this short. And I'll take the lead, James. Great to have you on board. I think one of the things I reflect on through the process and bringing you on board, and the big thing is self-awareness, and transformation. So I think that was the thing that reflected with me and you. So can you dive into that? So what do you think has been the biggest change in yourself over the journey?
Yeah.
What influenced those changes? Because I think it's been really good to see how much you talk about that change and how much you're aware of what you need to be in that improvement. So can you touch on that a bit?
Thank you. I think self-awareness, maybe in a different part of my life 10, 15 years ago, wasn't really what they were paying me to do. They were in the context of our profiling that I've already been through with PBD. I was kind of always the outlier. I was the ENFP when everyone else was an ISTJ in Myers-Briggs, and so self-awareness was not about, that wasn't going to get the results. I needed to be hard-edged, focused on detail and discipline and get the results. but it's always been innate, and it's always been something that I've actually enjoyed about myself, and it's been like a bit of a superpower, intuition, those kinds of things. So yeah, look, I've taken myself, COVID's really helped a lot. I've done a lot more reading, widely, curiously, fiction, non-fiction, biographies, and sort of educational material. But one of the big things I've done in the last year or so is I took on a class, a Buddhist meditation class, once a week with an Australian Buddhist monk, 35, 40 years of being a monk. He's a man from Footscray originally, but it's really changed my life in terms of mindfulness and awareness, and being in the moment, just really celebrating and enjoying the moment. And meditation's really helped me. And I don't want to sound like some kind of guru on this, but it's been a key driver in transforming me, and it's driven a lot more personal understanding of myself. So in order to change, if I can't understand myself and we can't understand ourselves, it's very difficult to make the changes that we think we might want to make. And at my age and stage, it's been a blessing, and I'm so pleased to have my family. I've got 6 kids, and I'm having my kids observe what they're seeing, and it's not a put on. It's just really changed how I engage with people, and I've got some text. There's one text, if you don't mind, called Awareness by Anthony DeMello. It's written about 35 years ago. It's the book that's really changed everything for me. It is it's about just being in the moment, and that if you can just surrender and accept the moment for what it is, let things be as they are, you'll be that much happier. And happiness is what we're all striving for.
Can I ask a question to the three of you? So of all the prominent and strong males I know in my life, the three of you are all converts for meditation and for mindfulness. And I know, Ruzi, you've brought it into many football clubs as something that's a priority. Wazza, you do it regularly, and James, you've just talked about it too. So, for those people who still, don't really get on board with how powerful it can be, I'm not great at it. And every time I try, I think, I'm rubbish at this. So for the three of you who are really good at it and have done your courses, do you think you're good at meditating and at mindfulness, or do you still think it's a learned skill and one of those habits that we talked about last week that's always needing work? Tell me your thoughts, Ruzi.
Can I go first? Because I reckon the big misconception is the word good at it, right? So the reality is, with meditation, it's not a destination, right? Like a lot of times I find it very difficult because I am so distracted and the hardest part in the early phases is you'll be really critical on yourself about what your expectations are. And I remember going to Tammy, because Tammy was the one who influenced me to start, and I was the biggest critic of sitting down and spending 10 minutes and doing so. And I said to Tammy, I actually just don't think I'm very good at it, because I'm sitting there all the time and I just catch myself running off with every single thought that's coming in my head. And she goes, well, the fact that you've caught yourself is the fact that you're already starting the process to make it work. Because that's the part, right? When you're in the moment of anxious or busy or critic or any type of sort of thought process, if you can catch yourself being off there and storytelling and bring yourself back to the moment, that's the moment the discernment is working. So that was just my thought, my statement around the good versus not good. But
so obviously Tammy, Ruzi, is your lovely wife who is a mindfulness expert. So what's your tip for everyone on that topic while I've veered us off track?
Yeah, I 100% agree. The reason people stop doing it is because of exactly what Woz is talking about. Let's say if I start running, I can actually put a clock on and I can see I've run 4K in 20 minutes, I've run it in 19:30, I've run it in 19:50. So I can see myself getting better. So we're competitive people. If I go to the gym, I lift bench press 50 pounds, 60 pounds, 70 pounds, 80 pounds. don't compare yourself. Just to borrow a famous quote from a famous company, just do it. And that's all you need to do. Like, just do it. And don't worry about what you're actually doing. You're giving your mind a rest. You're becoming present, and it's absolutely a learned skill. And I think that's why most people give up, because they start comparing themselves to other people, or they start worrying about it. It's just the things. I meditate this morning. I don't even know, is it good or bad? I don't know. I just did it.
Yeah.
You know, what I do know is in the heat of the moment when I was coaching Melbourne, coaching Sydney, absolutely kept me present. It kept me grounded, and it helped me do all the things. And that's what I do know. I don't worry about when I'm doing it, but people notice, you know, as a coach, like I know Woz is a completely different person to what he was 3 years ago. And I'm sure, James, people say the same thing to you. And I've started saying that to you. And the thing Tammy always says to me is, other people will notice it before you do. It's a bit like culture, isn't it? That's why we say bring an external culture person in, because it's like watching your kids grow. You don't really, I don't know whether you want to add anything to that, but that's the reason we brought the wellness into the PBD system, because to integrate the leadership, the self-awareness that James spoke about, but the mindfulness is so important, isn't it, James?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, look, you've summarised it all beautifully. I think the point you made is exactly the point, that it's the observation of your thoughts drifting. And some apps, the Calm app or the Headspace, they'll talk about letting thoughts be like a cloud just drifting by. But it's the observation. Oh, there it goes. It's just a thought. It's only a thought. And going back to your breath, if that's your anchor point, or a sound, you know, it's something that brings you back into the moment is all you need. And it might happen 100 times in 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. The simple being aware that you've drifted again is what it's all about. And so it's not measurable like Ruzi's just described for other things. It's just practice and enjoying the practice, just finding it something that is an enjoyable habit, you know.
And I think, Ruzi, it's really important message for our clients and for every leader about how important it is to be present, and how much it makes you a better leader, and it helps you lead your team in such a much more efficient manner if you're able to keep those practices in check.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much data around it. That's incredibly important. And I mean, I think you touched on it, Carl. I mean, I think with James coming on board, as we wrap up the culture catch, we can see the values that James has got continue to gel with us as a company. So it's great to hear your story, James, and learn more about you as we go through. But I think the biggest thing for me, James, and for Carly and Woz, is it is the values, and also the experience, the amazing experience you've had over many, many years, your sporting background. I know you've had a good sporting background in footy, et cetera, et cetera. So I know we've got to wrap it up. We might have to do a Culture Couch Part 2 with our new staff member. But let's wrap it up now. Hopefully that's, again, not just introducing James, but also some of those tips that were continually reinforced, Carly and Woz, over the Culture Couch live journey. So, mate, great to have on board, and obviously from the point of view of people listening, they'll see plenty of you. So
thank you.
Thanks to everyone on the Culture Couch. I'm now going to go and run, and I'm going to time myself and just see if I can beat my time from yesterday, Woz. So wish me luck.
Good luck.
Good luck, Ruzi.
Guys.
All right, thanks.
Bye, guys.
See you all next time.